What's up, family? I want to talk to you guys about battling depression. Battling depression. It's funny because people always talk to me and they always like, man, Elijah, you don't look like you've been through anything. And, your life is so easy and comfortable and you, you got it all together. Not realizing that I've had my bouts with depression. I've had my bouts with suicide. I've had my bouts with giving up. Um, I've had my bouts with loneliness and so many other things. And it's crazy because those of us that have gone through the pit of hell, those of us that have walked into hell and fought the devil and walked out of hell, and that have changed our lives, don't look like we've been through hell. Don't look like we've been through anything. 1996, April 1996, through that summer, I went from being 235 pounds solid muscle to less than 150 pounds during that time frame because I was so depressed. I had just lost a relationship. My finances were jacked up. Jacked up. I was raising two kids of my own with no support, none. Their mom wasn't in their life in any way, shape, or form. She wasn't calling them. She had nothing to do with them. Not sending any money, anything. And then on top of that, I was just dealing with all of my other issues as far as growing up, sexually abused, physically abused, um, verbally abused, just all kind of other emotional stuff that I was going through at that same time. I remember having to get rid of our dog that is a German purebred Rottweiler. I had raised since it was a little baby. It was massive. And my two other kids loved that dog. I loved that dog. One day I just had to get rid of it just because I couldn't afford to take care of it anymore. And it broke my heart. And I remember telling my kids, and they came home and they saw that Sade wasn't there. And I lied to them, and I told them that somebody must open up the gate and let her out. Because I didn't want them to know that I got rid of the dog because I couldn't afford it. They were sad. My oldest, Jocelyn, was crying, and John was sad, but he was kind of trying to be strong. Um, it was hard. There's so many times I felt like I was losing my mind. I wasn't eating because the portion that I would eat, I was saving for the kids so that they could have it the next night for leftovers. I was going through hell, literally going through hell. So many times I felt like I was on the verge of just having a nervous breakdown. I was going to church. I was trying to do everything right. I was giving my tithe, my offering, and my life wasn't getting any better. I remember driving to Compton one day. I lived in San Pedro at the time, and I drove to Compton to fill out the paperwork. I was trying to get some welfare, just trying to get some help. I was at my wits' end. I was done. And I sat there for 3 hours, filled out the paperwork, waited to be seen, and they told me that because my kids are so young, I qualified for WIC, and that was it. I got in my car and I left. And I was done. Done. I was so hurt, so mad. Mad at everybody, just confused. I was mad at the person who walked out of my life, mad at the fact that I was trying to do the right stuff by my kids, and no matter where I went, no matter what I did, life wasn't getting any better. Here it is, I'm in the military, I'm serving our country, and I'm losing it. I'm going to church, trying to do right, and I'm losing it. Had to give away our dog. I'm losing it. It got so bad that I had contemplated taking my kids down to the system and giving my kids up. Just because I felt like I failed. Just because I felt like I sucked as a dad. And they deserve so much better than what I could give them. I didn't want their life to be screwed up any more than what it was. And I went to the Air Force. And this was, somebody had told me about this place. I went to the Air Force. There's this thing called Air Force Aid. And I filled out all this paperwork and I sat there, and this elderly lady sat across from me. And she was looking at all my paperwork, my financial statements, and just all this stuff. And she looked at me and she was like, Elijah. And if you know me, I don't ask for help. I've never wanted to be a burden on anybody. My kids were my responsibility, and I was going to do what I had to do to take care of them. And I wasn't going to ask anybody for help. And so me going to asking the welfare office for help and them pretty much telling me ain't nothing we could do for you, I was done. And the Air Force, this was my last recourse. I was prepared in my mind that I was going to pack my kids' stuff up and just take them down to the system. And so as I'm sitting in this lady's office, she asked me, she said, Elijah, how are you doing it? And for the first time, I broke down. Simple question. I couldn't hold back the tears anymore. I couldn't hold back the anger, the hurt, the loneliness, the frustration. I couldn't hold back all of those emotions anymore. And I bawled. I broke down crying in this lady's office. She got up and she shut the door, and her eyes was kind of like big, but I didn't even care. I could tell that she was shocked that it was like a dam that just busted open, and it was just like, I was shaking. I was crying so hard. She shut her door and she just gave me a hug. She gave me a hug. And I can't tell you that there was anything miraculous that happened that changed my life. I can't tell you that I was blessed with a bunch of money. I can't tell you that I got all of this assistance. I can't tell you anything like that that transformed my life. And to be honest with you, I still don't know what it was that transformed my life. I still don't know what it was that helped me out of that situation. I do know that that day when I broke down and bawled, it was a great release. That was my nervous breakdown. That was my I'm done moment. And the only thing that I know is that because I love my kids so much, every day I got up and I kept moving forward. I kept trying. Just because I loved my kids. Just because I thought my kids deserved so much more. Just because I didn't want to fail my kids. I kept pushing forward. I don't know how I did it. I just know that I did it. Every day, I got up and I did what I had to do. I went to work, came home, cooked them something to eat, spent time with them. And gradually, things got a little better. Things got a little better. Gradually. Over time. The thing with depression is depression affects every single one of us totally different. Some people get depressed and they overeat. Some people get depressed and they don't eat. Some people get depressed and they go into this isolation mode. Some people get depressed and they completely surround themselves with people. Some people get depressed and they don't sleep. Some people get depressed and all they want to do is sleep. Depression affects every single one of us differently. And because it affects every one of us differently, there's a different answer as to how we get out of it. Because what worked for somebody else didn't work for me. What worked for me may not work for you. There is no one answer fits all when it comes to depression. My hope and prayer for you is that you find the reason to keep going. You find the reason to not give up. May you rise above this dark period. I love you guys. Peace.